The city manager's report on issues raised at prior council meetings.
None at this time.
Special event applications, Leisha.
The first application before you is from the Asbury Park Business Advisory Committee, Asbury Essentials, which would be held in the Transportation Center. I'm asking that this be approved contingent on the Special Events Committee approving it. Next is the center requesting to use a city date for their annual fundraiser at Convention Hall on May 17th. 101 Days Summer Safety Event is a press conference on May 21st that would be held on Fifth Avenue Boardwalk. And lastly is the application I just handed you, Picnic at the Park, which is a request to close Emery between Sunset and 6th on May 19th. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is a presentation by the Director of Planning, Michelle Alonzo, regarding requested easement for a metal canopy over 1112 and 1114 Main Street.
Good evening, council members and members of the public. Tonight I'm presenting to you a request for an easement for a metal canopy that's part of a development proposal called R-Bar that's on Main Street. This application has already gone to the planning board, and one of the requirements is that they need to get an easement from council for having a permanent awning above the sidewalk area. Now I'm pointing it here on this rendering from the planning board. You also should have in your packet tonight the elevation with the side view, so you can see the projection into the right-of-way, which is a total of 3 feet. So I'm presenting this to you tonight in the workshop. I would like to introduce, either at the next council hearing, either an easement agreement or a license agreement for this canopy. It's on workshop.
Okay.
Michelle, what's that made out of? What material is that? Is that
It's
like a roof?
Yeah, it's metal.
It's metal.
Mayor, you might be confusing. There's another request for an easement that's on later.
No problem.
What's the difference between the license agreement or the easement?
An easement is more permanent in nature. A license agreement is revocable at the will of the city. An easement agreement is recorded with the county clerk's office and runs with the land. A license agreement doesn't have the same type of permanence.
It could run with just the business?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's very simple. That's in a nutshell. I think the planning board had also suggested the sign had to come to council, but the sign does not, because the sign with the dimensions that are proposed are permitted by ordinance.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
No, it's a very nice project. I wish more with us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to just show that?
Review of this evening's agenda.
Bless you. We've received word from the state in regards to Resolution 2019-147 that we can adopt the fiscal year 2019 municipal budget. Moving forward to consent agenda items. Resolution 2019-167 is special events. 2019-168 is adopting the Monmouth County Home Program. The city for many years has been part of the Home Consortium that is administered by the county for housing needs. This is an annual resolution. And 2019-169 is authorizing appointment to the Public Art Commission. Is there any questions on those 4 resolutions? Moving forward to individual resolutions, 2019-170 is the payment of bills. 2019-171 is approving a change order number 3 for Bridge and Heck Street. 2019-172 is a professional service contract for energy consulting services, which I'll discuss after we go through the agenda items. 173 is authorizing the fabrication and installation of a carbon steel scum beach on the gravity thickener. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what those words mean. I haven't talked to Rudy in the sewer plant about it. We've been missing each other, but it is for the sewer plant. If Rudy needs something, Rudy only asks when he needs something. Resolution 174 and 176 are tied together. This is to pave one of the newly named alleys. For 176 is a shared service with the county, and 174 purchases the asphalt to pave the alley.
And where is that?
It's in the resolution, which I'm having trouble getting to right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Only one that wasn't done.
175 is the purchase of a new fire truck for the police department, which was in the capital program. 177 is authorizing to implement a competitive contracting process to procure vendors to operate a pilot valet parking service agreement. If there's any questions on that, I'll stop here because Mr. Manzella is in the
I
audience.
would just go on the record and describe it so people know, at least for APTV. And where they want to go.
So this is actually a resolution that we adopted last year, but didn't actually put an RFP out for, so we're going to do it again this year, and hopefully actually get some responses this time. So the idea is to start in the downtown with a pilot valet parking program, 2 to 3 valet stands at most, park the cars, store the cars in the Memorial Drive parking lot, a portion of that, and the Banks Avenue garage. As we now, the state has given us approval to use the entire garage on the weekends. So the idea is to provide a convenience to downtown so that people, if they don't feel like looking for a parking space, can basically pull up to a valet stand, hand over some money, and get their car, they could text their car and get their car back when they're done with dinner or whatnot. So we plan on starting small and seeing if we can grow it from there.
And ETA on that one?
Well, the RFP would go out sometime later this week, next week, 3 weeks to do that, and then award after that. So, I mean, hopefully by 4th of July, we can get something going.
And we'd have potentially 2 to 3 stands in the downtown and then 2 lots that we'd be storing the cars.
Yeah, to start. I mean, we'll see what the demand is to see how much we need. But if it goes above and beyond that, we could look at other potential sites and partnerships.
And how are we advertising that we have this valet service? How are we getting the word out to people?
Once we have that, we can approach the business committee, Chamber of Commerce, hand deliver notes to all the businesses if we need to.
Well, I think we need to get it to people out of town as well.
Yeah.
Sure. Social media. I mean, we can talk about a full-blown marketing strategy.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving on, 2019-178 is the annual menu items per the subsequent developer agreement between the city and Madison Marquette. 129 is a resolution adopting the personnel policy for 2019. There are literally 4 sentences being added to this policy. The city shall comply with all applicable standards, rules, and regulations of the New Jersey Paid Sick Leave Act, A-1827 of 2018. The city also adheres to the Workplace Democracy Enhancement Act of 2018, which is S2137. The city adheres to New Jersey Equal Pay Act of 2018, S-104, otherwise known as the Diane B. Allen Equal Pay Act. We are already and have continued to be in compliance with these regulations. We're codifying them as they were passed last year. And then involving CDL truck drivers, the requirements below may not be exhaustive, and the city reserves the right to implement programs, follow laws, regulations, rules, etc., promulgated by the federal government, state of New Jersey, the city insurance carriers, or other parties. So those are the 4 changes that I'm requesting in the personnel policy. This has been reviewed and approved by our joint insurance fund, Labor Council, and the state fiscal monitor. Resolution 2019-180 is requesting the DLA Commission to record and post their public meetings. Is there any questions on any of the resolutions? Hearing none, I'll move over to introduction. 2019-20 is under environmental regulations of the city code is regulating plastic bags. Ordinance 2019-21 is a conveying of an easement at 301 8th Avenue. 2019-22 is an easement over 306, AKA 308 Main Street, which again is another easement. These are for introduction tonight with public hearings scheduled at a later time.
And if I can just interject, the 301 8th Avenue, as you'll recall from prior discussion at work sessions, is for a proposed retaining wall in the city right of way. And the other one at 306, AKA 308 Main Street, is airspace only for an awning in front of the Santander Bank right across the street from City Hall.
And is that an easement or a licensing agreement?
Both of them would be easements. The latter one is only 65 square feet for the awning in front of Santander. The retaining wall is a larger area that's specified in the ordinance.
Moving on to the second reading public hearing portions of tonight's ordinances. 2019-15 is a bond ordinance for $19 million for the Boardwalk and Green Acres program for Bradley Cove. 2019-16 is short-term rental improvements. As you'll recall, we had a public gathering of information that were submitted through our website about changes to the ordinance. 2019-17 amends the hotel room occupancy tax in conjunction with the short-term rentals. 2019-18 is traffic and parking regulations, which Mr. Manzella can answer questions on if required. And 2019-19 is a $300,000 to finish the paving of Deal Lake Drive as part of the DOT grant. Those are the ordinances for second reading.
Can we go back to the Deal Lake Commission request to record public meetings? Have we reached out to our two representatives for Deal Lake to let them know that this
They were
is-
copied on the draft emails.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Can we go back to 1917? Could you explain that? Let me know exactly what that is.
The hotel room occupancy tax?
Yes, I don't know.
Okay, so right now, and this goes back possibly to maybe 2009 or 2010, the city availed itself of the opportunity to adopt an ordinance that imposes a tax on hotel rooms. And that's pursuant to state legislation that says towns can impose this tax for stays in hotels. Back in October, the state legislature adopted legislation that allows towns to extend that to short-term rentals. So that, Airbnbs, things like that, would be those who stay, those stays would similarly be subject to the same tax, and it puts the Airbnbs on similar footings with hotels.
Thank you.
No other questions? We'll move on to matters by the city manager. He has the community solar initiative under his discussion.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The Community Solar Initiative is a pilot program established by the Board of Public Utilities that they'll be awarding proposals to later this year in early fall. So in discussions with Gable Associates, who's one of the leading energy consulting firms in the state, they would like to, at no charge to the city, there's no dollars amount involved in this, submit a proposal. And what the Community Solar Initiative project is, it fixes what didn't happen during community net metering. It fixes what didn't happen during the proposals of community net metering. So say, for example, you own an apartment complex. It's difficult to put solar on the roof of an apartment complex because who gets the benefit? There has to be a direct benefit of the savings involved with the solar, of where the common areas are usually just part of the management structure. Under the Community Solar Initiative, it changes that and actually does something that they think will work. For example, if you own a piece of property in Marlboro and you can put a solar farm on it, but you're not connected to the quote-unquote grid at all, you can sell that electricity to another establishment. So realistically, what would happen, someone builds a solar farm in, say, Marlboro, Toms River, Wall, that cheaper electric rate, if there is a cheaper rate, can be given to someone else. So, for example, the housing authority in some of their properties might pay 14.9 cents a kilowatt hour. With the solar, they might offset, say, 25% of their cost of electricity and pay a solar rate of 8.9 cents a dollar per kilowatt hour. So it has the ability to save money for buildings and municipalities that couldn't do a solar project otherwise. So we've met with the Housing Authority. Councilwoman Clayton was involved in the meeting, along with Gable and Associates. And what we're looking to do is to actually put the Housing Authority and the city together as a partnership and be able to use the Housing Authority properties to get a reduced rate. Where this is going to be big is that Boston Way, the residents are actually paying their own utility bills. So if the market rate is 14.9 cents a kilowatt hour, and the solar projects in another town can generate 8.9 cents, the city would award a contract and people would save on their electric bills. It's an initiative by the state and the Board of Public Utilities to build solar throughout the state and have people actually use it. Because when you build a solar array, you cannot go larger than what you actually use. So if your house uses, say, 10 kilowatts a year, you can't build a 20 kilowatt solar array. You have to offset it somewhere. So the thought process between the state and the BPU is, let's build more solar and let communities that need help financially, low moderate income communities such as Asbury Park, Camden, Trenton, and help offset some of those costs. The easiest way to do this is through the Housing Authority because they have obviously people there. So there's no cost to the city on this. If the contract is awarded, Gable and Associates actually gets their fees paid through the award of the power purchase agreement, which would be for a 15-year period. So right now you say it's 14.9 cents a kilowatt hour. We go out to bid, the price comes in at 15.4 cents. We wouldn't award that, it's over. If it's 14.5 cents, it's not worth awarding. But if the solar market shows that a cost can be 7 or 8 cents a kilowatt hour, then you would award that because it's 5 or 6 cents cheaper than what people would pay now in the market. So it's going to depend in a couple months, if this project's even awarded, how to save money and how much you can actually save. So Gable Associates is willing at their own cost to do that analysis, put together the RFP, and hope at the back end that they'll recoup their fees if the solar market is viable at that point in time. So the idea is, one, we can help the Boston Way residents save money on their electric bills if the prices comes in better. And then we're looking at the other Housing Authority properties because it's a master meter where the Housing Authority pays the electric for everybody. And then this will enable the Housing Authority to save some money. So we want to try to concentrate on the Housing Authority to help them save money and the residents that they service. So this is no cost. All the work would be done really by me and Gable and Associates to see if the price of solar can be cheaper. And that's the resolution that's on. There's no risks to anyone that has done this. I did a similar project under a power purchase agreement with Gable in my last municipality. And for example, the market was like 15.9 cents, and when we did solar, it was like 7.9. So we saved 8 cents a kilowatt hour, which could be substantial at the end of the day. So with this, Gable's going to put together the pilot program, submit it to the Board of Utilities. If it gets passed, the board, we would look to do something in the fall to go out to bid to hopefully save residents in the Housing Authority some money.
So won't this be available to other residents other than those in the Housing Authority buildings?
The idea is that under the program, you're allowed 5 megawatts of electricity. So once we see how much the Housing Authority generates, then we can expand it to other places. The next logical one is senior towers because it's quantity of people. But if the Housing Authority spends 7 or 10 megawatts a year, they'd only be able, it's capped at 5. And the points are awarded on population served. So obviously residents in the Housing Authority who are qualified as low income will receive the greatest benefit. So we'll get the most points. That's all.
Any other matters?
No. Not at this time.
Matters by the City Council?
Okay. On May 21st, the Asbury Park Complete Streets Coalition is hosting a bicycle ride. Everyone who's interested should meet at Springwood Park at 6:30 and hope for good weather. On Sunday, May 19th, Spring on Sunset, the Sunset Lake Conservancy and Commission are hosting a fundraiser with all proceeds to benefit Sunset Lake and Park. It's a $25 suggested donation, and this will take place on the lawn of Dr. Angelo Chinichi and on the adjacent street of Emery Street. And there'll be food and drinks and an opportunity to meet your neighbors and talk a little bit about the park and some improvements that we are looking forward to. That's it.
I know it rained on Saturday, but still would like to congratulate the people who tried to organize Asbury Park Alive. It was a really great effort, and unfortunately, nature had its way. So, there is going to be a teen town hall meeting scheduled and hosted by Congressman Frank Pallone, and it's open to all high school students. It's going to take place on Saturday, May 11th, in New Brunswick at the Raritan Bay Area YWCA. And also this Saturday is the next session of expungement. So if you know anyone that was an ex-offender would like to expunge their record, it's going to be held at St. Stephen's Church, and it's at the corner of Springwood and Prospect at 11 a.m.
Asbury Park Summer Day Camp program is starting up now. The lady that you would like to get in contact is Ms. Leisha Ford. Leisha, raise your hand for a minute, or call City Hall. Children from 5 to 12, and it's an outstanding program for your kids, and we look forward to have every kid in the neighborhood sign up for it if possible. Pre-registration is beginning now, so if you need any more information, please contact the City of Asbury Park Recreation Department. This coming Saturday is one of the biggest things that's close to me. What we're doing is serving Autistic Awareness Month, which we have special need people, special need kids, and we're looking forward to having a family barbecue with them. So it's not too late to spread the word at the Springwood Avenue Park. It starts at 1 o'clock and at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
So we have the third celebration of Haitian Heritage Month on Saturday, May 18th from 11 to 2. Beach passes are on sale via your mobile app, but also at the beach office located at First Ave and the Boardwalk with a cash or check, not a card, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I want to thank Officer Casey. The City Council has been doing tours. We've finished Thorogood. We did Hope Academy. This week we did Barack Obama, and in 2 weeks we're doing Bradley, of giving fourth graders tours of City Hall. So they're walk through the police department, where Officer Casey does a great job of getting them excited, takes out the car, the lights, the sounds. We take them over to the courthouse and put them in the position of judge and prosecutor and public defender. Then we round them through planning, code, and transportation, and the departments upstairs, and end here at City Council, where we put them all up here and then make the rest of them be the public for the day. So I want to thank all the city staff who participates in that, Sonia for coordinating it, and Michael Casey for doing a great job in getting them jazzed about the Asbury Park Police Department.
Friday night at the Convention Hall at 6 o'clock is the Carousel Awards dinner by the Chamber of Commerce. So anybody who hasn't bought tickets, their tickets are still available. That's all I have. Thank you. These mics don't work.
They're not staying on. Although, Yvonne's staying on.
Mine's on.
Matters by the city attorney?
Nothing at this time.
There being no further matters, we'll break until 7 p.m. Councilmember Chapman?
Here?
Councilmember Clayton? Here. Councilmember Kendall?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yeah, here.
Mayor Moore?
Here.
Please rise for a silent prayer, moment of reflection, please. Flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the following manner. The annual notice was forwarded to the Asbury Park Press, the Coaster, and the Star Ledger on January 2nd, 2019, and posted on a bulletin board the same date. All notices were on file with the city clerk. Have a motion to open the meeting to the public, please?
Move it.
Second.
Anybody who wishes to speak, please come up to the mic, state your name and address for the record, and each member of the public has 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, Ernest Mignoli, 400 Deal Lake Drive. I think last meeting you noticed I served a subpoena on the city manager. The city manager gave it over to lawyers for the city. They probably paid thousands of dollars to what they call quash his ability to come into court, although we're going to go back and argue that because the city manager knows a real lot about my building, and he actually controls the departments. So for them to spend thousands of taxpayer money so the city manager doesn't have to testify, I don't understand why. He knows a lot about the Santander. And why do you hire the most expensive law firm in New Jersey? Why? What's the reason for that? I'm also concerned that this city manager may get a new contract. I don't know if he has it now. How come homeowners don't know about it? Let me walk around with a petition. I've never met anyone that likes what this city manager does. I'll get you 1,000 signatures. So how does it happen? You know, well, when we're not around. The Coaster newspaper, the coverage here, whenever the city manager or someone else wants to say something horrible about me that's based in a twilight zone, no reality, they put everything in the paper, word for word. Never a word that I say. Why is that? Why? My emails are still blocked. It's turning into a lot of litigation. I don't think the city really cares. They just keep throwing money into attorneys. You know, what? Look, just keeps chewing gum. That's all he does, is chew gum. Sorry. It's come to my attention, and I've witnessed some things where there's actually city officials putting out money for permits. Now, I'm trying to write, but of course, the city manager blocks everything. But some of us have actually witnessed city officials with cash affecting permits and stuff. And, you know, how do we get it before the public? Everything goes through the city manager, and he throws everything in the garbage. Now, he'll tell you, oh no, I respond to all his emails. I must have sent 1,000 emails since he made that proclamation. Not one response ever. Not one that he was going to forward if it's important. Did a person ever say, I got your email? Oh, you know, Jerry almost burned himself to death in your building, smoking and a fire. Oh no, I got that. Nothing. Everything winds up in his pocket, and I don't think that's fair.
Thank you.
Good evening. Tom Gilmore, 1308 Fifth Avenue. I have a couple quick questions about beach lockers. I went to pay for my beach locker this past weekend, and as I was waiting there, I was reading the fine print on the notice that came out, and found out that we have to get our stuff out of our lockers by September 9th, which is about almost 2 months earlier than normal. I asked why that was and was told that because of the concert, I have my lockers on the 7th Avenue beach. Because the concert's going to be there, we have to get our stuff out of the locker earlier. Okay, I like the idea that the concert's going to be there, so I don't have any problem with that, but I paid my full fee, and actually I'm getting about 30% less of the time that I actually use my locker. So my first question is, was that for everybody who has a locker, or just the people on 6th and 7th Avenue?
Finish all your questions, then we'll ask.
Okay. So that's my question. If it is, I think it's a little discriminatory that certain people have to give up their lockers, which I'm willing to do, but I paid full fee. So I think the city should compensate us or give us a credit for next year, whatever they think is reasonable. But I think that's very reasonable because I don't get to use my locker for 2 months.
That's it, Tom?
Yep.
Okay. The September 9th date is not written in stone until we get in touch with See Here and Now to see when they're moving in. That unfortunately went out 2 months ago, and we said it wasn't written in stone. So we're still, once we have a date, everybody will know. As far as what other towns do, most towns say, we start on Labor Day and we end on Memorial Day. Because Asbury Park goes to the end of October, which I always thought was ridiculous because it hurts us, like getting the snow fence up, getting the beaches ready for the winter and everything. So maybe all these years, as much as you were getting an extra 2 months for free compared to other towns. We'll look into it. When we know the date, it will be published. But yes, we have the concert, and we're also looking at rebuilding the boardwalk. So this 1 year, there could be an inconvenience on the north end.
So my question was does everybody, including the lockers on First Avenue Beach, have to take their things out by September 9th?
Again, once we get all the information, it will be sent to everybody.
So everybody's going to have to take their stuff out of the locker, even if they aren't on the beach where
Tom,
the concert's
that
going to be?
hasn't been decided yet. It's still up in the air.
Okay, well, I'll be back then.
Okay.
Pam Lamberton, Sunset Avenue. Good evening, everybody. I have 4 things I want to talk about. Number 1 is Anchor's Bend. I'm wondering if you could explain to me how they got permission to expand their venue to include the beach. That's public land. How are they allowed to put tables there? I don't know if they were given a permit. And then I have a question about the liquor license. Historically, Asbury Park has prohibited alcohol being served east of the boardwalk. Now we have 2 places in Convention Hall where they serve alcohol, and I believe Anchor's Bend is also serving alcohol on the beach. So I'd like to know about that. And I'd also like to remind you that there's still no Sunset Avenue access to the beach, and I wish that you would see if you could do something about adding an access point there. Regarding the plastic bag ban tonight, I think it's great. Next, it's styrofoam. And could you explain in Resolution 178 tonight what the menu items are? That's it.
I don't have the menu items in front of me. Do you, Michael?
In a second.
The menu items are, you know what they are. It's money that Madison Marquette gives us every year up to $100,000, and we pick and choose what it can be spent on, and the 3 things tonight are?
Reimbursement or purchase of an ATV for $11,000, special beach operations, $12,000 for lab shack operations, that's to clean the bathrooms, and $18,000 for the Wi-Fi fees. That's $41,000 and $59,000 then gets rolled over to be used at a later time.
Are those all beach functions?
They have to be.
They have to be?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
And
Okay.
as far as your first question, as far as Anchor's Bend, they approached us, I guess, 4 years ago?
yeah,
4 years ago, they've been doing it, and we charge them, it was done by resolution, they're charged so many dollars per square feet.
And they actually requested both, and we said no to Beach Bar and yes to Anchor's Bend.
I'm
at the
sorry, I
time.
can't hear you.
They wanted both sides. They wanted Fifth Avenue and Sunset, and we've said no to Fifth Avenue to this point.
Is it legal? I mean, that's
Yes.
public land, the beach.
Yes,
So the city has the right to lease it to Anchor's Bend?
correct.
Okay. And don't forget Sunset Avenue access. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Marty Martino. I live at 1600 Bryan Avenue in Ocean Township, New Jersey. And I'm here tonight to thank the mayor and the council and the city manager for the resolution that's on the agenda to televise the DLA Commission meetings. I think it's really, really important for the DLA Commission to do like the Asbury Park Council is doing, televising it, the proceedings, just so everybody knows what's going on. So I just wanted to come and thank you all for doing what you're doing, and the city manager as well for preparing the resolution. And I would also like to say, I've lived down here from 2003, okay, my wife and I, and we've been to the Asbury Park Boardwalk and kind of familiar with Asbury Park. And what has happened in this town is just amazing. It's been revitalized, and to me, even though I don't live in Asbury Park, it's a reflection of the people that are leading Asbury Park, and my compliments to all of you for doing what you're doing. And one additional comment, and it relates to the lakes and Deal Lakes and Sunset Lake. Going back maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, Sunset Lake was atrocious, really, really in bad shape. But with Eileen Chapman and Amy and the other council people and mayor and everyone involved, you kind of pulled together and made that Sunset Lake something to be proud of today. With the board, with the little bridge replaced, and the appearance of the lake is really remarkable. So I just want to say thank you all for doing what you're doing in conserving our natural resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Jerry Maurer, 11 Wanamassa Point Road, Ocean Township. Just want to follow up. I won't repeat all of Marty's comments, but absolutely kudos to the council, the senior leadership, in Asbury Park. Great things, whether it's the openness and the transparency of recording your meetings. Also, the information you make available online before the meetings, including the packet information. I spend a lot of times looking for agenda items at the towns that are part of the Deal Lake watershed, and it's typically very, very sparse. I know it costs money. It takes effort for Asbury to provide the level of details that you do. Absolute kudos. Again, you are really, to me, what it says is you want people to engage. You invite people to engage, and that means quite a bit for somebody from the public that's looking for the town to assist. I was particularly struck in January of this year. I came to the first Sunset meeting talking about the revitalization. Cold January night, 7 or 8 o'clock, and I was duly impressed that 2 members of council were here, and that again speaks volumes about what Asbury is investing in the community, showing the leadership, and showing the commitment to the stakeholders. So thank you very much.
No, thank you. And
Thank
just
you.
to get another plug in for Eileen and all the great work she's doing, on the 19th is a fundraiser. Go ahead, tell.
So on the 19th is a fundraiser for Sunset Lake. Dr. Chinichi is putting up a tent on his lawn. They're closing Emery Street. He's bringing in a food truck to raise funds to benefit Sunset Lake and Park, and it's $25. So you might want to spread the word to the rest of your lake people as well. Great, thank you.
Maureen Nevin, Deal Lake Court. I was going to say drive. Anyway, it's going to be paved, though. Is that correct? Yeah. It's in one of these bond issues, right? Yeah. I had a question about the Stavola selection. It was not, they were the highest bidder, and I wanted to ask about that, why we didn't go with a lower bid. And actually, usually it says, why that bidder was chosen if it's not the lowest, but I didn't see it in the bond. And the valet parking is not going to be subject to bid. It's going to be competitive contracting. I was wondering if you could explore that a little bit. And the amendments to the water redevelopment plan that was discussed in the executive, will that be discussed tonight at all? You know, for the public? And if not, why not? Okay, I had a question about that. There's something going around about the school tax, the shortfall, and that we're going to get a big hit in our third quarter taxes, property taxes. I'd like to find out if that's accurate, and if you could give us an idea of what to expect. And also, I assume that the abatements, people who are enjoying their tax abatements in the new construction, will they be affected, or will they be exempt? Better way to put it, due to the tax abatement, would they be exempt from this increase in the school tax? And if you have the figures with you, how much that will impact the other property owners? Sure, people are curious about that. And let's see, quickly. On the 19 million, I was wondering if you could explain how much is going to Asbury Partners of those funds, and break that down. Thank you.
Okay, as for the 19 million, we don't know where a penny of it's going yet. It's being put aside in case we needed to rebuild the boardwalk or other options. But right now, not a penny of it is earmarked. As far as Stavola, I don't have it in front of me. I thought it was in there. The reason they're a little bit higher, because the other places are so far away. By the time you factor in time and the material getting cold by the time it gets to Asbury Park, Stavola was the best bid as far as paving the streets. So they're a little bit more per unit cost, but on sending our trucks there at time, and as far as it being hot when it gets to Asbury Park, that was the reason.
Those are our trucks or Stavola's trucks?
There are trucks. What happens with the county is they'll give us very short notice, like a day or two, that we have to get out there, if not the same day. The other two establishments don't let municipalities go first. So we actually, with Stavola, get in and get out. And it actually says this third whereas: it is advantageous for the city of Asbury Park to order contract to Stavola Construction Materials due to the availability of the product, travel, and time costs in regard to acquisition. We do this every year with the county, and the county does the improvement, we buy it, and this is the same resolution that was passed last year, just different quantities.
Yeah, I just had trouble with the reference. I wasn't sure whether it was referring to the city or the
We go pick it
Stavola.
up.
Okay. And the parking, the competitive contracting?
Competitive contracting is a bid. It's just under the concession laws and how it has to be bid, and the review process. So under concessions, there's a group of people that would do the review. It has to get posted to the website 48 hours or 24 hours before it appears at a council meeting. There's just differences in how it's done, but it's all regulated by the local public contracts law. It's still bid, it's just the process of the bid itself. For the school tax, we've been informed it is approximately $227 on the average home. The school has that at about $336,000. Again, since this is on TV, I want to reiterate, we have nothing to do with the school budget. We just collect the tax, but we've been informed that the school tax is going up $227 on the average house. Most of it, if not all of it, is in regards to Senate Bill 2, S2, which has taken the money away from the school district.
That's the state funds.
Yes, it's all state funds.
If that was $227 a year or $227 a quarter?
For their fiscal year, their calendar year, fiscal year. So it's third quarter, you'll feel the hit.
So it's only once a year for the
Yes.
taxpayer,
Yes.
that they're going to see that. And the people with tax abatements, will they be paying that increase?
It depends on how the abatement is structured. That's actually a common misperception that we hear a lot. In abatement world, you can abate the land value to $0 or credit it towards the improvement amount in a pilot. So as you know, there's two parts of your tax, your property value, the land itself and then the improvement. In Asbury Park, what's happened is that since most of the abatements have been on vacant land, the land tax is still there. So the school isn't losing any money because the developers are still required to pay the land tax. That's not in every case, but in the majority of the cases. I think it would have actually impacted the school like $1.50 on the average house if everyone paid what everyone thinks they should pay. So the abatement is really going to be more on the improvement side. So, for example, you take a vacant land, it's worth $100,000. That $100,000 is still going to be calculated more often than not towards the school tax. That improvement that never was there, that building itself, is what the actual pilot is on where they pay less. So it's really no impact on the school district because that value never was actually there. You'll see that more often in tear downs of buildings where you have value. So if that property was worth $100,000 in land and $5 million in value and they tear it down, that's where the district will lose money. But that hasn't happened here because it's really been a lot of new construction on vacant land.
Thank you. So was that it?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
No, you wanted to know if we were going to announce what was done in closed exec, and the answer is no.
Sorry, what?
You asked if we were going to announce what was discussed in closed exec,
thank you.
and the answer is no.
It will be discussed.
Correct. Thank you.
Hi there, Diana Patet on Sunset Avenue, and I'm just coming up to thank you all for putting forth the ordinance 2019-20, the plastic bag ban. It's a really great and bold move that you're taking. As you know, on Monday, the UN report on endangered species came out, and the UN called on all of us humans to take transformative change in going forward with the environment, and this is one such transformative change. So thank you for that. And then I'm going to speak on in my remaining time, hopefully not too much time, I'm going to speak on behalf of Mike Castellano, who's the chair of the Jersey Shore Surfrider chapter. And he wants to thank Deputy Mayor Quinn, as well as the mayor and the rest of the council, for taking a large step in the fight against plastic pollution and introducing the bag ban. We applaud your efforts in standing your ground with a fee on paper and reusable bags, as we feel this is the most effective. Millions of plastic bags enter our waterways and oceans each year, causing serious threat to marine life. And although this is not a solve-all, it is a fantastic start. We at Surfrider speak as environmental advocates, not as vendors in this city, and so it's easy for us to be excited and see the benefits of this ordinance. There will be certainly a fair amount of pushback, but moving forward, please know you have Surfrider's complete support in educating, advocating for this ordinance, and we hope you use us and our resources and years of experience to your advantage. Thanks again, and congratulations on Asbury Park and being a leader in the fight against plastic pollution. If this passes, you'll be the 51st municipality in New Jersey, so way to go.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to say thank you, Diana, and to Surfrider. So this isn't something that just popped up. This was something that we were working on with Surfrider in 2018, and then it had come down the pike. Murphy was going to get something done with plastic bags. He didn't, so we kind of had to go back to the drawing board, make some changes with some input from Surfrider and some other community leaders to ensure that, you know, our festivals as well were not allowed. You know, we wanted to make sure we didn't just hit brick and mortar, but, you know, the people who kind of come in and benefit in Asbury Park and not using plastic bags. So thank you for your revisions and for Surfrider's revisions and helping us you know, get this ordinance, you know, on in front of us.
Hi, Warner Baumgartner, Fifth Avenue. I came
tonight because I saw there are proposals for easements to be introduced today. And as a longtime public advocate for preserving Asbury Park, I felt it was my duty to come before you and remind you of a few things. Number one and foremost, being council members, being part of a government body that has ultimate control over public property gives you an enormous amount of power and responsibility. I'm going to appeal to your consciences tonight. Most of you up there have lived here longer than I have. You're longtime residents, your families have been here. Public property is one of the most important things in Asbury Park. It defines the look and feel of Asbury. Public property has been handed down from generation to generation for 100 years since James Bradley founded this city. To give easements to public property to private property owners for simple vanity reasons is unconscionable. As government officials, you have an obligation to protect public property for future generations, not to succumb to the whims of individual property owners because they want to put up a retaining wall or a fence or a light post on property that they do not own. It is public property. That's the whole reason for zoning laws and property boundaries and surveys, is to delineate private property, what you can do on your own private property, versus public realm. You need to protect public property. Now, I heard that question came up about an easement versus a use license. Certainly, in a business scenario like downtown, a use license is certainly appropriate for air rights. They're temporary, right? But an easement, as your attorney has informed you, is permanent, conveys with the property. And by giving an easement of public property to a private property owner impairs this city. You should not do it. Now, specifically, the easement you're considering introducing tonight at 301 8th Avenue. I read through this. The document's not available on the table over there, by the way, but I read it at home. And there are factual and technical deficiencies in the way this is written. That alone should table it from being introduced. I could go over that at a future time with management or staff, if you like, or with council members to point out what's wrong with it. But from a philosophical point of view, only hardships should be considered for easements, like a handicapped ramp, some public benefit that an easement creates for the public on public property, not to give public property over to private property owners. Thank you. I request that you withdraw the 301 8th Avenue introduction tonight until it's examined a bit further, and possibly correct the other one to be a use license instead of an easement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm John Morris of Monmouth Lodge, 122, 1101 Asbury Avenue. I'm also John Morris, Commander of DV Chapter 85, soon to be at 1101 Asbury Avenue. I'm here tonight basically on veteran issues, but I would also like to speak about our progress at 1101 Asbury Avenue. If you have driven by there lately, we've continued to work on the outside, and next week we should be brick facing on Comstock. We've improved the building. We think it's an asset to the city. We've done that all with our individual veteran funds on our own nickel with no help from anyone. So we figure that'll be a plus to the city. The main issue that I have tonight is the housing complex on Boston Way and the one on Springwood Avenue. We were here doing the development cycle of the affordable housing allowance and Michael's, and everybody said there'd be housing available for veterans. So we had our veterans submit applications, in both cases by mail. Some tried to attempt to deliver them to the housing authority with no success. So what we're saying is, everyone said there's housing available for veterans or veterans at risk, and I find nowhere in the city that a veteran can prevail if he's seeking information or pushing an application based on his income or his veterans benefits. So I say, there was word put out in the past that, yes, we will have housing available for our veterans, but I don't see it at this time. So if I'm wrong, please correct me. And here we have Bill here in Asbury Park. He's from Asbury Park. He'd like to have housing. We also have some veterans that were at risk, and they'd also like to have housing, but the applications were never responded. That's all I have. Go ahead.
Thank you.
My name's Bill Davis, and I'm a longtime resident of Asbury Park. I grew up in Asbury. I went to school in Asbury. Did a lot of things. I had a lot of fun. But I want to speak on the issue of their housing, because I put in an application with Sojourn, and this guy never answered my calls. Never contacts me. And I would like to know what's going on with that.
Is that all you have, sir?
My health conditions, I got a home health aide with me today. You know what I'm saying? I have health conditions, you know, so it's kind of hard for me, you know, today.
Okay. You're hitting us over the head with a 20-pound sledgehammer, and I agree with you, but we don't have the facts here tonight. Mr. Morris, we've met many a times, and I have no problem if you want to set up a meeting, give us exact information, and then we can get in touch with, be it Michael's and the Housing Authority, and see who you actually talked to, and then get involved in it more. But the main thing I would say, number one, is thank you all for your service to this country. That could never be thanked enough. And number two, please do not wait for a council meeting for something of this important to get in touch with us. This is urgent, and the quicker you let us know, the quicker we can respond to it. So if you want to know, Michael, you're out of town Friday. If we want to get together beginning next week, I'll gladly be there. By that time, we can start to get some, you can send me an email or Michael an email saying, because I don't know who you talked to and who.
They basically talk to me, John.
Okay.
They've been calling me, and I know all of them personally.
Okay, well, we'll have Jesse at the meeting too, so, and you can just tell us who you've talked to, and then we can talk to them before our meeting.
Yes, sir.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
John, set something up beginning of next week, the city manager. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm also a lifetime member here in Asbury Park, but I grew up in Neptune. And I did, you Google, I'm the adjutant. I'm the ones to do the hand-on work. Now, I met Corey twice.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you just state your name for the record, please?
Roger Young.
Thank you.
I met Corey twice over at Bill's house. He came down twice. He did nothing. I went to Second Baptist Church, and I believe the lady's name was Tracy. That takes the input. She just pushed me right out. She said a veteran has to be homeless on the street. You know, so I couldn't get nowhere with her. So that's why we decided to come down here tonight. And we tried to, we want to help the veterans here in this area, and not somebody that lives somewhere else. We got about 7 of the guys that, and we have some females also. That we have this one lady. Her son is 20 years old, and he's autistic. He acts like he's 5 years old, and she really needs help. Where she lives at is a month-to-month thing with her rent. She don't know whether she can be living there next month or whether they put her out or not. And you know, we just try to do the right thing. And again, thank you for allowing me this time tonight.
Again, we thank you for your service. We thank you for being here tonight. We thank you for bringing this to our attention. And I see Tom from the Housing Authority is over there, and he's already talking to the other young man. So you can talk to him because he's going to be part of this process also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Roger.
Tracy Rogers Sewell. I'm going to address these 2 issues that came up. One, the affordable housing, and one of the things on our agenda that we've been discussing with the city is making sure when we get all the ordinances and everything done and we start creating these affordable housing, that we have a transparent system so everybody knows what's going on. And one of the things is passing them out to development, making them required to oversee this. I think it should be collective, that the city control this entity through their administrator. So we actually know what lists are being made, where everything is going. So that's been pointed out to meetings that's going to come up. So this reinforces that, well, we don't have to go outside. We want to know exactly what's going on, and we can provide information. Also, Michael, with the 1101, the pilot program associated with the city taxes for schools, can you explain the breakdown of who gets what and how much the school would actually get out of this great, tremendous building that's going to be worth millions, and you have a $6 million penthouse? How much of that will go to our schools in Asbury?
I'd have to double check if that was one where the land value was credited against future pilot payments. But at the end of the day, under a pilot, the schools don't receive anything unless there's the land tax portion of it, and the county receives 5%. So I'll have to double check the agreement, because I don't remember off the top of my head where that breakdown was.
But we're going to have to be vigilant in understanding that that shift is coming, that the state has mandated that now the cities are going to be responsible for these school taxes. So in the pilot agreements, any new pilot agreements, can we work these deals that we can look at making sure if there's a option in there to get more school funding, that will become a priority?
There's always options involving pilot agreements. It depends on the financials of the project itself, and if the project can work and how it can work. But it's specific to project by project. So the stuff that's in the past is in the past.
But I'm just saying, are you going to make sure that that option is on the table, that the school is going to start, if we can? Can I get your word on that? That would be a priority.
Depending on the project and the financial agreements as they're presented. You can't say yes or no on anything. Will I look at it? Sure, but it depends on the finances.
Okay, thank you.
Alicia Simmons, 1034 Soul. Two issues, just really quick. First is about the solar project. I had a brief conversation, previous, talking about being individual housing grants. But there are opportunities with solar companies that, as great cities, and that we're taking progressive moves towards being green and being environmentally sound, that as a city, we have a great area. We have great rooftops. We have great, together, collectively, we can be completely green and solar forward. As wind turbines. We don't necessarily have to go with this particularly this deal is kind of, so say if you have a friend in Marlboro or in some of these green factories, these solar farms, it makes it, a little efficient that they can now look forward to places like Asbury Park, where there's a so-called low income, but Boston Way is mixed income, it's not low income, nor would the new buildings that they put up is mixed income, so that's pretty much market rate. So there's going to be a couple low income, couple affordable, and a couple market rate. We can do it more as a citywide, especially in the new development and the plans for the city, where completely all of our things, and we can be a hub where we as a city sell it back to the power companies. We can have our own solar farms and our own wind turbines, because we have lakes and beaches, and actually give really great discounts to everybody in the city that will take us completely off the grid. So that was, that's something maybe we can look at. And I know there's a Schottenstein Electric Company, because when I was on the school board, I wanted to have green turbines and different auditing programs to kind of push us to the future in some creative way that no other area has. And then second, about the school tax, I'm going to talk quick. The simple way, because when I was on the board, I had a question about these abatements. The way the school funds it is saying we have about, just pulling this number out the air, $1 billion worth of assessments. Our values are worth $1 billion. They tax on, no matter if it's an abatement or not, right? It's taxed on $1 billion worth of assessment. But what's in the abatement doesn't go to the school, it does go, they're still taxed at the same rate. It just goes to the city and to the county, right? But everybody else, that $1 billion worth of rate, say that's maybe 60 million, I don't know. That gets chopped up to the people who do pay taxes.
Finish your sentence.
That gets chopped up to the people who do pay taxes. So we really need to assess these abatements because it's not like it's a dollar difference. It's say if there's 20 apartments and only 10 people are paying for their apartments, we still get charged for the 20 apartments. So we have to be really aware, especially since we're going against federal, state funding getting taken away, that these abatements are really, or some kind of way, since it is going to the city, maybe
Okay,
kind
your
of way.
sentence is up, finished.
That's it. I'm checking.
Make a motion.
Motion to close.
Move it.
Second.
And at previous meetings, we were asked about the school, and since S2, the new school funding bill has been implemented 2 years ago, no abatements have been given out. The majority of the abatements were given out before this council, and we said we would look at them all. And Tracy, I know what you're saying, but we can't promise you yes or no because it depends on, again, the numbers. And as much as we'll use 1101 as an example. 1101's coming on, and it's going to produce like $2.5 million to the city. That's 10% of the entire city whatsoever. So if we didn't give that abatement, maybe there'd still be nothing there. Asbury Hotel came online, and because of that, housing prices have gone up all throughout the city. So as much as if we didn't give abatements, or past councils didn't give abatements, maybe we would be worth 500 million and not $1 billion, and then the taxes would be double. So there's good and bad to the abatements. I totally agree with you, and we'll look into each one individually.
And we
Thank
should
you.
just be really clear on the fact that the school funding, the school is unfortunately taking this hit in funding because of the state, not because of any pilots the city's passed, right?
Correct. And it's the second year of 7-year hit. So the worst is in front of us. So, and we're working together with the Board of Education, and the third quarter is going to be tough because it also, and we'll have a flyer in everybody's tax bill because the third quarter picks up on the city's first and second quarter where it's all guesstimated, and then the third quarter is reality. So the third quarter is going to be large, and people are going to say, it went up 10 times. No. So we'll have a frequently asked answers and questions in the tax bills. Thank you.
We're on to minutes now. We have 3 sets of minutes: executive session minutes of April 24th, the workshop minutes of April 24th, and the regular session minutes of April 24th. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Move on to the adoption of 2019 budget. It's Resolution 2019-146, adoption of 2019 budget. Just like to remind everyone, we did hold a public hearing on April 24th, so we can go right into a vote. Can I have a motion to approve, please?
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Consent agenda. Resolution 2019-167, resolution approving a special event applications. Resolution 2019-168, adopting the Monmouth County Home Consortium FY 2019 Annual Action Plan for the Housing and Community Development Programs. And Resolution 2019-169, authorizing the appointments to the Public Art Commission. Tonight, the council will be appointing Mary Eileen Foret for a term expiring December 31st, 2019. Does anybody wish to have any of those items pulled from the consent agenda?
No.
Hearing none, can I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Clayton. Chapman. Sorry.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Individual resolutions. Resolutions 2019-170, resolution improvement and payment of bills. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Wow. Resolution 2019-171, resolution approving change order number 3 for Bridge and Head Street improvements. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2019-172, awarding a professional service contract for energy consulting services. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2019-173, resolution authorizing the fabrication and installation of carbon steel scum beach on gravity thickener. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it. Second.
Any comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
I'm abstaining. I'm not sure about this.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2019-174, resolution authorizing the purchase of asphalt material from Stavola Construction Materials, Inc. for the paving of various roadways. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2019-175, resolution authorizing the outfitting of a new fire department pickup truck. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it. Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2019-176, resolution awarding the contract to Monmouth County for road repaving. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2019-177, authorizing the City of Asbury Park to implement the competitive contracting process to procure vendors to operate a pilot valet parking service. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2019-178, resolution identifying of the menu items as per the subsequent developers agreement between the City of Asbury Park, Madison Asbury Retail LLC, and Asbury Partners. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2019-179, resolution adopting the personnel policy for 2019. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
No.
Resolution 2019-180, resolution requesting Deal Lake Commission to record public meetings. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
We're on to ordinances for introduction. We have ordinance 2019-20, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 20 entitled Environmental Regulations in order to add a new section 20-3, therefore to be known as plastic bags of the Code of the City of Asbury Park, New Jersey. Can I have a motion to introduce this ordinance, please?
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Abstain.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Public hearing for this ordinance will be held on June 12, 2019. And this doesn't have a number, so I'll give it 2019-21, authorizing the City of Asbury Park to convey an easement over certain portions of public right-of-way area adjacent to the property located at 301 A Street. Can I have a motion to introduce, please?
Move it. Second.
Councilmember Chapman?
No.
Councilmember Clayton?
No.
Councilmember Kendall?
No.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
No.
And Mayor Moore?
No.
The resolution has been, or the ordinance has been defeated. Ordinance 2019-21, authorizing the city, or 22, authorizing the city of Asbury Park to convey an easement over certain portions of right-of-way area, airspace adjacent to property located at 306 Main Street, Asbury Park, New Jersey. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Question?
Question?
Yes. In light of the conversation we just had about easements, can this possibly be changed to a license so that it's not permanent?
Would there have to be a new,
If we would have to
New ordinance.
redraft it, we certainly can do that. This was a negotiation with the property owner who requested an easement and agreed to pay what was determined to be fair market value for the easement as determined by the tax assessor. But at council's direction, if you want us to go back to the property owner and say council is not willing to grant an easement but would consider a license, is that acceptable? We could negotiate and see if they're willing to amend their request and ask for a license instead of an easement. But they specifically asked for an easement, so that's why we presented it to you in that form and why we were charging them the amount that was set forth in the ordinance.
Should we table it?
So if you go back with the license of the easement, the dollar amount's still gonna be the same?
Well, the dollar amount was determined by the assessor with the understanding that this was an easement. We would go back to the assessor and explain that this council has requested that we look at this again in terms of it being a revocable license, and with that alter the fair market value. That would be the assessor's call, because an easement is perpetual, permanent. A license agreement is revocable at the will of the council. So someone may not want to pay the same for something that you could freely revoke at your will.
let's see what that is.
I have a motion and a second on the table.
So, well, there was a motion and second on the ordinance.
Ordinance to introduce
So
it.
if council wants to table this, if that's your desire, there would need to be a motion to table.
Move to table.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Are we voting on the table?
On the
Yes.
table, yes.
Yeah, yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
We'll move on to now to second reading, public hearing, ordinance 2019-15, bond ordinance providing for various North End Beach utility improvements by and in the city of Asbury Park, the county of Monmouth, state of New Jersey, appropriating $19 million, therefore including New Jersey Green Acres Program grant loan, and authorizing the issuance of $19 million bonds or notes of the city to finance a part of the cost thereof. Can I have a motion to open this ordinance up to the public, please?
Move it.
Second.
Anybody like to be heard? Motion to close?
Warner's going.
Be quicker.
Be faster. The knees aren't what they used to be. Warner Baumgartner, Fifth Avenue. I think this was discussed at prior meetings, but I'm a little curious about how the Bradley Cove, which was discussed as being linked to this somehow, fits into the 19 million. I think the discussion was that the 19 million may partially be used to pay for development rights to be purchased back, but not in its entirety, that there may be additional bonding required. Is that what was stated last time?
Correct,
That-
was stated last time.
That's correct, okay. So the Bradley Cove issue is somewhat connected to this, but this is primarily for infrastructure. The boardwalk, the parking lot, the restroom, the hard material that's being improved, correct?
In theory, correct, but it could be used for any of those.
Okay, all right. So the Bradley Cove issue is simply development rights. It's not purchasing property back. The city never conveyed property for the construction of Bradley Cove, correct?
The city never conveyed the property for the construction of Bradley Cove. That's a fair statement.
Okay, all right, thank you. So we're not buying property back that was formerly public property, but development rights
Pardon?
are, what are in the table. Great, all right, thank you. I look forward to the north end being beautifully rebuilt. It sounds like a great project.
Maureen Nevin, Delay Court. When I went over it earlier tonight, it referred to property, not building rights. It did say property, because it was referred to as property commonly known as Bradley Cove. And that's kind of one of the red flags for me, because to designate something by its commonly known name doesn't sound legal to me. And I'd also want to know about, the Green Acres, whether Green Acres approved this or not. As far as building on Green Acres property.
We didn't ask Green Acres to approve this, we didn't have to.
Sorry, what?
I'm sorry, we did not ask Green Acres, or nor do they have any say in saying yay or nay to this. So was Green Acres asked? No.
Okay, so we're not resolving any of those issues. They're still in the air, right? Because in other words,
Nothing's been resolved, and that's why we want to have the $19 million set aside in case we have to pay for the boardwalk, in case we can cut a deal and get back the redevelopment rights of Bradley Cove, to have the money there and increasing it from 15 million to 19 million, saved us $785,000 on the first year down payment. That's why originally this was introduced 6 weeks ago as a $15 million bond, but then our administration and bond council looked at it and said, if you up it to 19 and include the 1.5 million, whatever, from Green Acres, it saves the taxpayers a $785,000 first year down payment. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're correct.
but the thing is, my question has always been, if the property could never have been built on anyway, why are we compensating the so-called property owner?
I feel like we have these conversations all the time. Can you just point me to the document that says that property can never be built on?
Well, I don't have the Green Acres information in front of me.
Green Acres absolutely agrees Bradley Cove can be built with modifications for the small portions that are in the Green Acres property. So there are small portions based on the 15 townhouse plan for Bradley Cove that edge into Green Acres space. Now, if iStar modifies those 15 townhouses to not edge into that space, and I want to be really clear on this point, a very small amount edges into the Green Acres space.
Balconies.
So if iStar modifies the balconies by, and I'm going to estimate this number, but let's say 10 inches, they would have the ability to build the 15 townhouses. So when you say they can't build it, I never know what that means.
Yeah. Is that posted on the site, Green Acres language that you just repeated?
So it would be part of, I'm sure, the plans. The plans for Bradley Cove talk about where, and I think we have drawings of what parts are in Green Acres space, so that's something we could get you.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
And if anybody has that missing piece of paper that says they can't build there, geez, I'd rather give you $1 million than them 17. But there is no piece of paper.
And that's part of my question. Felicia Simmons on Sewell Avenue. My question is on the Green Acres too, because I sit at a lot of meetings and there's no finite list of what is Green Acres. And the last meeting we spoke about Green Acres. There was no finite list. And so now when I hear the language of Green Acres, if there's no finite list, how can we move forward? And just a quick question that, is this bonding money and would it be paying back any kind of, like, if it is Green Acres to kind of it can't be used to kind of like pay off Green Acres so we could still have, I'm trying to word it properly. We won't be used to kind of say if we want to reimburse a grant that we received or any Green Acre property, this bonding won't be used in that way. It's more so to kind of purchase the area to make sure that it won't be built on. Correct? Did you understand what I'm saying?
I don't understand the
So
question.
say if I owed a debt, say if I,
So you're asking if this would pay off a debt?
say if, yeah, so Green Acres, and we got a grant or some kind of funding to keep this area kind of Green Acres, or like the park. They gave certain amount of money to keep it a park. We won't be using this to refund money or some kind of way to Green Acres to make it open, would we? It would just be just to purchase it to keep it for the city.
So again, I can briefly, right. So we have a grant from Green Acres, and the grant from Green Acres has a laundry list of things that we need to complete to get this money, right? And one of those things is to turn an area of the street in front of Asbury Towers into a park.
Yes.
And there are some concerns on how we would reconstruct trucks getting to the sewer plant. And so our engineer is going through a report to determine that if we use the Green Acres money and meet the requirements of Green Acres, are we going to spend more money fixing it so we can get trucks into our sewer plant? Because there wouldn't be much of a street bed. The street in front of Asbury Towers would become extremely small, right? It wouldn't be that large street. So what our engineer is doing is telling us what's going to cost more. Do we hold on to the Green Acres money to use it towards preserving Bradley Cove? Or do we give up the Green Acres money because it's going to cost us more to reconfigure the sewer plant to get trucks to the sewer plant?
But either way, that has nothing to do with this bond ordinance.
Okay, so none of it will be used to recycle, to say give back the money or pay back money or any of that, man?
We would not be paying Green Acres any money whatsoever. What we would potentially be doing, if it's going to cost the city more, is rejecting the grant.
Okay, and just quickly, if we reject the grant, would that take kind of that safety net off of our, that area? Would it take it the safety net?
If we
that
reject
have
the grant, we have the ability to do whatever we want with that portion of the land. It could be a passive park, it could be an active park, or we can keep it exactly as it is now. To use the Green Acres grant, we have to do exactly what Green Acres wants us to do with that piece of land.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to close?
Second.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-15?
Move it.
Second. Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-16, an ordinance amending and supplementing Article 13-1300 entitled Short-Term Rentals as contained in Part 2, Rental Properties of Chapter 13, Property Improvements and Neighborhood Preservation Property Maintenance Code of the Code of the City of Asbury Park, New Jersey. That's a lot. Can I have a motion to open to the public, please?
Move it. Second.
Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close public portion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Have a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-16?
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-17, an ordinance amending and supplementing Section 10-2, currently entitled Hotel Room Occupancy Tax of Chapter 10, Finance and Taxation of the Code of the City of Asbury Park, New Jersey. Can I have a motion to open this to the public, please?
Move it.
Second.
Seeing no public comment, can I have a motion to close, please?
Move it.
Second.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-17?
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-18, ordinance of the City of Asbury Park amending and supplementing Chapter 7 of the Code of the City of Asbury Park regarding traffic and parking regulations. Can I have a motion to open this to the public, please?
Move it.
Second.
Seeing no public, can I have a motion to close?
Move to close.
Second.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-18?
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-19, bond ordinance amending and supplementing bond ordinance number 2018-13, which provides for various improvements to Deal Lake Drive. Heretofore finally adopted by the City of Asbury Park, New Jersey, and the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, on March 28, 2018, to increase the appropriation by $300,000 and to increase the authorization of bonds and notes by $300,000. Have a motion to open this to the public, please.
Move it.
Move it.
Hi, Warner Baumgartner. I assume this is the section of Deal Lake Drive from the bridge going eastbound that's not being done by the county at this point?
Correct, from the bridge to the Lock Harbor border.
Okay. And years ago, I recommended that the diagonal parking be put in there, and it's served pretty well. Is that going to be restriped and maintained as is? Is diagonal on the north side and parallel on the south side?
Correct.
Okay. Any thoughts about restriping it for reverse diagonal parking?
It's being thought.
Okay, great. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Can you explain, or Maureen Nevin, Deal Lake Court, can you explain what he means by reverse parallel parking?
Yeah, if you go down to 8th Avenue between Kingsley and Webb, you'll see on that block, we started
Yeah.
reverse parallel diagonal parking. It's better because if you're backing into a parking spot, your trunks, like say you're on the beach, right? Your trunks to the beach instead of your
coming
kids
off
and
the
everybody
mic.
out in the traffic.
If you moved away from the mic.
Okay, so say, let's use the beach run. If it is reverse parking, you back in and you get all your little kiddies and your husband and everybody out of the car, and they get everything out of the trunk, and they're not going to get run over. Where if you just pull in, now you're unloading everything right near the traffic. So there's been studies throughout the United States and Europe and everything where reverse angled parking has been successful. We started it off as a pilot program on 8th, and it takes people, some people got tickets because they pulled in the wrong way, and there's signage up and everything. But we think with enough good PR and everything for areas along Deal Lake Drive, I think it's an excellent place to use it. It's safer, and it helps pedestrian traffic, it helps everything.
Okay. I must be thick. It still doesn't, I don't
Okay,
see
and
it.
that had nothing to do with the bond issue, but go ahead.
Okay. So it sounds like a great deal of money, but this is actually what, this is combining another bond ordinance, right?
This is adding $300,000 to which it went out to bid, the prices came in higher than we expected, so we didn't have enough money, so we had to bond another $300,000.
But it's still for the same purpose, right? Because I wasn't sure what the.
Yeah, it's going to
original bond was.
pave Deal Lake Drive from the bridge to the Lock Harbor border where all those big potholes are, where you see bricks underneath and they're just impossible to fill. Bless you. And it's like the worst, the reason we picked it, it was like the worst street in the city.
It is, it was perfect 20 years ago. They brought all the trucks for the fast track developments up and down that one corridor. That's what happened to it. So do you know how deep they're going to make it, or are they going to make it a nice deep?
Yeah, basic, was it 4 and 4?
It's going to be 6 inches of
6.
PCA, 4 inches of base, 2 inches of top. So, whole pavement section of the project.
And the person answering is Jason, the engineer.
Jason? Thank you.
Motion to close?
Thank you.
Second. Have a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-19.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
There being no further business, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Move it.
Second. All in favor?